As a missionary, I served in Micronesia, Guam. Micronesia, Guam's in the Western Pacific Islands. It was an adventure. Most areas had no lights, no electricity, no cars, and we ate a lot of Spam. Anybody here like Spam? Yeah, it's an acquired taste. But if you were serving in Micronesia, you likely, and I did at the time, you built your own hut. So I was living in a hut that I built, eating a lot of Spam. Had a friend serving in the Fresno, California mission. Not much Spam, and he did not build his own apartment. We corresponded back and forth about this many times, and he started to take the liberty of rubbing it in that he was eating at Taco Bell, and I was eating Spam. And back and forth this went about fast food and Spam, and in fact it culminated at one point with an audio tape where he had songs about Spam on it. He had all kinds of ribbing for me about Spam. One day I had gone into the main island on a boat to get groceries and to get my mail. I was headed back to my island on a boat when I opened the mail and I saw this postcard. This postcard is a roast beef sandwich. Now I know it's homemade because I can see that it's an ad for roast beef sandwich pasted onto a homemade card. And the minute I saw the homemade card, I knew it was my friend, I was assuming, giving me a hard time. And I also thought, this is bad timing because I actually am really feeling bad about not being able to have fast food and living in a hut. I'm actually having a down moment here, so this is terrible timing. So I thought. But I turned the card around and there's only one thing on it, and it says this: don't let what you don't have spoil what you do have. Almost instantaneously, I looked up from this card and the ocean was a little bluer. The sky was a little brighter. I started to think, oh yeah, this is a nice place. I'm headed back to an island where the people like us. Even if they don't want to listen to us, they'll feed us. They'll take care of us. This is a pretty good thing we have going here. I started to think, maybe I shouldn't focus on the things that I don't have and be appreciative of the things that I do. I wish that I could say my very wise 19-year-old friend cured me of focusing on what I didn't have. He did for a moment, but then that fades. And why does it fade? Well, sometimes we watch TV or open a magazine and they're full of ads that say, here's what you don't have. You need it. So it's hard to combat that, but if you have that mentality, you can become very successful. And in fact, when it comes to the questions of what should I do in my financial situation, we can answer those, but only after you address this issue that was illustrated by my friend in his homemade postcard, and that's this. It's called the law of scarcity versus the law of sufficiency. If you learn to live the law of sufficiency, you will be successful financially and otherwise, but especially financially. And the law of scarcity and the law of sufficiency means this: everyone has limitations. There's always a limitation on your income, on your net worth, you name it, there's a limitation on it. Everyone has limitations. Could be of time, of money. Anything that you can think of that's a resource, there is a limitation to that. Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, some of the richest people in the world, do they have limitations? They do. They have limitations. There is a decimal at the end of their net worth. So they have to do what they can with it, and they have to make decisions about it. What we found is that if there's an undue focus on what you don't have, that's a law of scarcity. And the law of scarcity says this: there's unlimited want, but there's limited resources. And you might say, well, yeah, that's everybody. Well, that's a lie. It's actually, you can have limited wants. You can train your brain to do that. The law of sufficiency is this: an appreciation for what you do have and to make that work. Now, we've seen some great successes of people financially with very low income because they had the sufficiency mentality. We've seen some disastrous financial situations and someone coming in and saying, I can't make it on $300,000, $400,000 a year, because they have the scarcity mentality. It's never enough. So the reason I tell you that is scarcity mentality or sufficiency mentality usually has nothing to do with how much you make or what your net worth is. Now I know you're going to say, Shane, try me out. Give me lots of money and see if I can get a sufficiency mentality. But I'm here to tell you, if you already have a scarcity mentality, the money will not fix it. If you have a sufficiency mentality, the money should not change it, if you can cultivate that sufficiency mentality. One of the things that is important for you to do in order to help train your brain to have this sufficiency mentality is to know what's important to you. When I was in private practice, we asked that question almost every day. What's important about money to you? We were trained in sales training to ask that question. I'm asking you that question now. If you will take 3 minutes and go to page 18, is the wants versus needs exercise. You determine for yourself which things are wants and which things are needs, and you write them in. You also determine which things are high priority, vital, and which things are maybe a luxury. Anyone have their spouse here with them? Great. Hopefully you have 2 books, because I want you to do this separately. Do one each. 3 minutes, go. If you are married or have someone else in your household that helps make financial decisions, they need to do their own version of this. They need to do it separately. Then the next step is to do one together. I love to overhear the conversations when 2 people get together and agree on where that needs to be. It sounds like this. Oh, that's important to you? I had no idea. Wait, why is this so high on your list? Why is this so low on your list? You get the idea. You start to come together. Now, if you're way off from each other, there's a problem. You need to start talking about what needs to be done so that you're pulling in the same direction. This is crucial. Doesn't make much sense to do anything else until you've resolved this. Doesn't make a lot of sense to do anything else in this program, and especially in this workbook, until you've resolved this, and at least come to an understanding for yourself of what's important to you, and if you're married, what's important to the 2 of you, and agree on that, and make sure you're headed in the same direction. Once you understand that what is important to you and what is a want versus a need, it's extremely helpful in helping you live the law of sufficiency, because there's a filter now. In my younger years, I had a goal. It was very high on this list. It was in the vital and in the now to go to a baseball game in every Major League Baseball park in the country. I was single, no kids. Where do you think that falls now? It's not on the list. It doesn't matter to me as much anymore. Now, I made great strides towards that goal. I've seen a few baseball games, but it doesn't matter as much to me now. So you see how this can also be dynamic. It can change, so you need to look at that periodically, but this will help you live the law of sufficiency. Resort back to that once in a while and see what's really important to you, and make sure you really spend some time. I only gave you 3 minutes. Spend some time finding out what's most important to you and to your spouse. It will help you live the law of sufficiency. The first concept then is the epitome of living the law of sufficiency, and it is giving to others. If you give to others, you obviously feel like there's enough to go around. You obviously feel like you have a sufficiency mentality if the first thing you do with any money is give to others. I also love that it's here first, because I know myself. I know I'm natural man to a T. I will have a struggle in giving to others if I don't do it first. I'll forget about it. It'll go way down the list, and then I might not even have enough money, in my mind at least, to give to others. So we make it first. Not just tithing, but you could do other things to give to others. And let me give you an example of that. Many people believe that they'll give to others once they get to a certain point in their life, or a certain amount of money in their coffers. Famed billionaire and philanthropist John Huntsman Sr. was asked, in a setting much like this, when did you start giving away large sums of money? And he told this story. He said, when I was in the Navy, I was a gunnery officer, I made $320 a month. And we paid our tithing. But if you hear Karen Huntsman, his wife, tell the story, she said, for those first few months, there was $50 missing every month, and I didn't know how to confront him on this, so I just said, after about 3 months, where's the $50? Which is about 15% of your income when you're making $320 a month. He said it's going to the Navy Relief Fund. The Navy Relief Fund is a fund put together for the families of those that are missing or killed or injured in action in the Navy. And he wanted it to go there. They had their own little wants versus needs conversation. And she said, really, is this really important to you? He said, it's high on my list. It's a vital. And she said, okay, we'll agree to do that. And as John Huntsman Sr. says, since that day, we have been giving away large sums of money. Now, I tell you the story not to suggest that you better go out and make sure in addition to your tithing, you're giving at least 15% away. That's not the point. You need to decide the amount. You need to decide where. But if you will, in addition to your tithing, find something that you can influence with a few dollars, or many dollars if you have them, but something that you can influence for good by giving to others, you'll do two things. You will set a habit of doing that. You'll teach your children to do that. If you can include them on some of this giving in some way, it's very powerful for them to know. And you've just shown that you believe in the law of sufficiency. You will do the things, you will take the actions necessary to live the law of sufficiency because you feel like you have enough. There's enough to go around, no matter what that amount is. So another exercise for you. This is on page 20. It's pretty much a blank piece of paper, but it has the heading, My Charitable Giving Plan. I want you to take the next 2 minutes and jot down some things that you might do to give to others besides your tithing. If you know, there are some great resources. United Way is a great resource. They have lots of places that can give. LDS Philanthropies is a great resource. They will help you give to the universities, to church entities. Highly recommend them. If you even look on their website, ldsphilanthropies.com, you'll find ways to give with great amounts of money, but even with small amounts of money, there's lots of ways you can give. So write down some of the things and even dream about what you might do yourself or as a family. I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. I encourage you to take more time to complete this and even have discussions with your family about what you might do to give to others and how to do that, how much. It really doesn't matter too much how much it is or where you give, as long as you're doing that and setting that precedence and building that habit. I'll go back to my friend who taught me a valuable lesson with a homemade postcard. He was trying to tell me, and I don't even think he knew what he was saying other than, hey, don't complain about what you don't have. It'll be okay. But he taught a valuable lesson to all of us in that if we focus on what we don't have, that's a miserable existence. However, it's easy to do. So if we'll focus on what we do have and make that work, we've found as financial planners, it doesn't matter the income. It doesn't matter the net worth. The mentality matters. You'll be extremely successful if you can do these two things, and I encourage you to take some time to go back and look at your wants versus needs exercise, to do that with your spouse, and to look at the giving to others plan, your philanthropic plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to do that. This is the foundation for everything else that we'll talk about, and you'll be very successful. Thank you.